We lucked out. I'll tell you what. We lucked out with my co-host. Our wonderful producer said, "Let's get somebody from Baltimore to co-host with you this weekend." And I swear we got Cordell Woodland to co-host this week before the trade went down last night with Maxx Crosby going to the Baltimore Ravens. So this is perfect timing. I got to just get right into it because Maxx Crosby gets traded to the Baltimore Ravens last night for a pair of first-round draft picks, and there's so many different angles we'll get into, but were people in Baltimore, you do radio there, so were people in Baltimore expecting Maxx Crosby to be the guy that they targeted here this offseason?
Well, yeah, I think there's been some flirtation between, or I should say, a desire from Baltimore, the people in Baltimore, to acquire a Maxx Crosby. Pass rush has been a major issue for the Ravens for the last couple of seasons, especially this year, and they have a multitude of reasons why their season kind of crashed and burned, and they weren't able to make the postseason. But one of the things at the top of the list is a lack of pass rush. And you saw it in the two games against the Pittsburgh Steelers where Aaron Rodgers, who's as immobile as it gets these days, he's back there patting the ball, taking all day, taking deep shots, running for touchdowns. I think they kind of felt like enough was enough. So I think there is still an element of surprise here in Baltimore that the Ravens actually got the deal done. They parted with not just one, but two first-round picks for a veteran player. It's the first time in their team history that they've traded a first round pick for a veteran player. So this isn't something to take lightly. Obviously, a lot of change this offseason for the Ravens, new head coach, new regime in town. So them making this trade is, I think, them showing that they are willing to do things differently than they have in the past.
I think Maxx Crosby, what I'm fascinated to see here is, as you said, it's a brand new coaching staff in Baltimore. And so it's a defensive minded head coach and Jesse Minter that goes there. And he wanted to get his key piece that can be his locker room culture guy on the defensive side of the ball, and of course bring the production with him, as we know how bad it was defensively to get after the quarterback for Baltimore. So this move makes ultimate sense to me for the Baltimore Ravens. You know, I think as we look at the AFC and the way it went down last year, my only question with Baltimore now, because I think this is a phenomenal move. It's an all-in type of move, but looking at the AFC and where Kansas City's at right now, Buffalo to me has plenty of question marks. The Patriots, while they were just in the Super Bowl, I still think there's questions about what the rest of their offseason is going to look like, and the quarterback based off of how the postseason played out. And so this puts to me Baltimore right there at the top of the AFC as things currently sit. My only question is, and you can speak to this even more than I can there in Baltimore, how much was it just that the defense was a problem, couldn't get after the quarterback, and this fixes that? How much is it that Lamar was just hurt, or was there seriously a dip in performance for Lamar that is something long term? Because my question, and I think what the answer is to me at least, is that it was more injury and not a healthy Lamar Jackson last year. You tell me, because that offense also wasn't right. Lamar did not look like the MVP quarterback that we got used to seeing twice.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and as I mentioned, there are multiple reasons why the Ravens kind of flamed out this year and didn't make the postseason. I think there are two main reasons, and you could list them how you want in order from one to two. But pass rush, as I mentioned, is in that 1 to 2 range. Offensive line is right up there with it. And as you said, Lamar Jackson struggled with injuries a ton this year. He was hit and sacked more than he has ever been in his career. I don't think all of a sudden Lamar Jackson isn't an explosive quarterback. I don't think all of a sudden Lamar Jackson forgot how to be an MVP caliber player. In fact, I think that at times he still did show his brilliance and what he is capable of doing at times this year. But the offensive line was so bad that I think it brought everything down. I truly believe that the offensive line was the absolute root to all of the issues for the Ravens this season because Lamar ends up getting hurt. He's no longer able to kind of camouflage some of the deficiencies that the offensive line brings because all of his injuries are happening to his lower body. And we all know his legs are his main superpower, although he has plenty of others. And then you look at it, Derrick Henry for the first half of the season, his yards per first contact was negative. I mean, he's getting hit in the backfield every time he gets the ball. Now, he is still Derrick Henry, he somehow found a way to still end up top 3 in the league in rushing. He's so great at what he does. But that was despite the offensive line. And I do think they figured some things out over time, but overall the offensive line was dreadful. Both of their guards were not starter quality. Daniel Faalele is a free agent. I'd be surprised if the Ravens bring him back. And Andrew Voorhees is a guy that's probably going to be a backup going forward. But they're also in a situation where they're probably going to lose their center, Tyler Linderbaum, to free agency. So offensive line is a huge area of concern for the Ravens this offseason, especially if they lose Tyler Linderbaum. I think that's where they're about to start shifting their focus. But yes, no doubt, the offense dragged down everything. And the defense always had their issues, but I think the defense, their issues were even more spotlighted because the offense wasn't able to carry their load and be that top 3 scoring offense that they were for the first month of the season, because that offensive line just deteriorated over the course of the season.
Now you add in Maxx Crosby, who going all the way back to 2019, and I understand that's a large window of time here, but number 1 in the league in tackles for a loss, that's Maxx Crosby. Number 1 in the league in solo tackles. Number 2 in QB pressures. Number 2 in QB hits. Number 5 in sacks. I think there's plenty left in the tank for Maxx Crosby. What I'm fascinated to see for him is he's got to be able to play some meaningful snaps. I mean, he has been in Las Vegas with a Raiders organization that has been a mess throughout his entire career. He's the perfect Raider, though, right? Everything about him, he fits there. But that organization ultimately was never going to get to where I think he deserves to play, which is big-time football games in the postseason. You know, potentially a Super Bowl. Obviously, that's the goal of this entire trade, is to get Baltimore to a Super Bowl and be part of it.